Welcome to the Gainz, where we talk about all things health and fitness. I'm your host, Leah Messenger. Let's get into it.
Hey guys, I'm here with Kaden, who's also known as ViperGQ.
So guys,
So tell us a little bit, of a summary about yourself to get started.
all right. Well, I am in the fitness industry as a competitor, so I've been doing a lot of shows and competitions there. But before that, I was always an athlete in the industry, kind of in the background of the bodybuilding. I was never a huge fan of bodybuilding per se, so I didn't understand the sport. You know, I was always fit. I was active. I did a lot of sports, but not really. I didn't follow the bodybuilders. You know, so I definitely knew the top winners of every year.
Of everything,
So when I started in there, it was kind of new. I was learning everything, learning. I'd never even done bodybuilding poses until my first show. It was not something I practiced. But since then I've done a whole bunch of shows. I became a WBFF pro, and I switched over and did IFBB. So now I'm an IFBB pro as well, and just did my first show 3 months ago.
As a pro.
That's
crazy. I actually completely forgot that you were a WBFF pro before.
So I did that. I did 2 pro shows, then I did world championships there with them.
Crazy.
So once I swapped over, I'm like, cool. I'll try to get them both.
Yeah, exactly. That's honestly super cool that you can say you became pro in both.
That's I wasn't so much a fan, so I'm like, I just want the title. I just want both of them.
Yeah, the title's cool to have. It's like you accomplished something. It's like, why not?
It's forever. It's like, I already did it.
Yeah. How did you get into fitness originally? I kind of was looking into I was researching you a little bit.
Yeah, fitness was weird because I've always been an athlete. So I played sports since I was 6 years old. I played 18 seasons of soccer, played kickboxing. I did baseball, football, pretty much everything all the way up till 18. Because once that happened, organized sports kind of disappeared, right? So you had to go out on your own to do it. So from there, I started taking up kickboxing and Muay Thai. So I was doing that a lot. I was fighting at a pretty high level at the time. At the time, I was training with a lot of the UFC guys.
Oh, that's so cool.
Back in the days, when it was really, really new. We're talking 1998. So that's when UFC was just getting going.
Yeah. Where was that, in Orange County?
I was training in Huntington Beach with one of the big teams, and pretty much all the champions were there, but they were making no money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd go out with the champ of the whole division, and we'd still be splitting bills because they only make $50K a fight. Yeah. Back then.
Exactly.
So it's a whole new level now, but. Yeah, so I started with that. I started training there, and then from there I started powerlifting.
Okay.
So I did powerlifting for a few years. I probably did about 10 competitions powerlifting, and then I kind of fell into the fitness competitive industry on accident.
Yeah.
It was kind of I was in the social media aspect of it because I was working as a photographer for Gymshark, Seg Revolution, and then eventually I joined EHP as well.
Okay.
So that's kind of how my start in the business part of it.
Yeah.
And it was probably a couple years after that when I finally did my first show.
That's so cool. How did you learn about the WBFF, or how did you decide to do that first?
Well, I actually didn't do it first. I did. So my very first show was the Venice Beach show.
Okay.
I walked onto that as almost a joke, and I ended up winning the overall. So I'm like, all right, it's kind of fun. Let's try some more. So I did, but see, I had no posing, no training, or nothing. I just got in the best shape as possible and just stood up there. So I did some NBC shows, and then I saw the WBFF, which they kind of advertised more of modeling, more glamorous modeling.
Yeah, I noticed that.
So I'm that's more at my alley. So I went and did that. Yeah. And it was fun. It was good. But it's such a smaller company that, as much politics as there is in the IFBB, it's even more so there because it's one guy determines everything.
That's what I've kind of heard. I think the WBFF is a lot more politics and bias and.
Well, I wouldn't say there's more. It's just more of a monopoly on who decides.
That's true.
Here there's maybe 10 teams that kind of control the power of everything in IFBB.
That's true. Yeah.
But WBF are 2 teams and one owner. Decides everything.
Quick. Yeah.
So if he doesn't like you, it's doesn't matter how good you look or anything else.
Yeah, you're just screwed.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
And I did that. I did what? Probably 1, 2, 3, 4. I did 4 or 5 shows there. And from my last, because once I did Worlds with them, I just switched over. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna switch over and do IFBB now or NPC.
Yeah.
I switched over, and it was 3 days after the Worlds. I went to a show. I'm like, fuck, I'm in shape right now. I don't want to lose it.
Well.
But I had no idea how to pose. Like, I literally did my first side chest ever on stage, looking at the guy in front of me and copying him.
What's the posing like in WBFF?
It's more modeling posing, so it's just like you kind of do cheesy, whatever, looking, trying to look sexy out on stage.
Yeah, like
poses, but there's no mandatory poses.
Okay.
Yeah, so here they're doing like a side chest. I'm like, what the hell's a side chest? I've never done it. Yeah. I was literally watching the guy in front of me and copying him as it was going on.
Yeah, like front double biceps, side chest. You're like, what?
Yeah, so I'm like, I just copied him.
That's so
but I was in such good shape for Worlds that I ended up winning overall the first show.
That's super cool.
Doing every single pose completely wrong and.
They didn't care.
Yeah,
if you're like the most shredded, good-looking person on stage, especially the NPC show.
Yeah, local
like was it regional?
What was it? It was a Spectrum Fitness. So it was kind of a big show too. It was like
it was a big show. That's cool.
But like I had no experience. My buddy came in like the last second to help me with a couple posings, but
yeah,
I still never.
You're like I didn't know. Yeah, that's.
So I look at pictures now. I'm like, oh shit, that's so bad.
So how long did you compete in the NPC before you went pro?
NPC. I probably did about 5 local shows, and then I got pro on my 3rd national show.
Okay, that's pretty good.
Yeah, so
some people are chasing pro cards for a really, really long time.
So I think 1, 2, maybe 3rd or 4th national show. One of the 2, yeah.
Which show did you go to? Pittsburgh?
Yeah,
that's really cool.
Pittsburgh. Cool. North Americans, I guess. Yeah, that's what's called.
Yeah, North Americans is in. Yeah. Because I was thinking like there's USAs, there's all these different.
Yeah, so I did USAs, and I didn't get like I think 3rd or 4th in the class. I didn't get that one.
Yeah, and it's what top 2.
Top 2.
Yeah. Cool. For those of you listening, if you don't know, there's WBFF, which is like one big bodybuilding federation, and then there's the IFBB, which is the International Federation of Bodybuilding. And the NPC is, the National Physique Committee, and if you do well in an NPC show, like a regional show, then you move on to nationals, and from nationals, if you get like top 2, then you get your pro card, and you're considered an IFBB pro. So that's just how it works. Yeah. For anyone who doesn't know what we're talking about, because a lot of people are very confused about that. When I try explaining it to people, it's like, they got all.
Well, it is kind of confusing though, because the NPC is like, it's not the same company, but it acts as the same company. Because it feeds all into IFBB anyways. Like, there's no way to become an NPC pro. Yeah, like, that doesn't exist. Yeah. So, but what made you do vegan bodybuilding, and why did you go vegan in the first place, and when? I'm so curious about all of that. This part was funny, because like, it was done almost as a joke as well. So I have a friend that's like...
Everything's a joke.
Yeah, it was like, I had a friend that's a vegan bodybuilder, and I always gave him shit, teasing him, joking around, like... Yeah. I was making fun of vegans, so it was fun. So, I'm like, alright, let's do this, I'm gonna give it a shot, I'm gonna have him walk me through a month, I'm gonna try to do it for a month and see if I can do it. Just because, like, I was known as a big eater. Like, I used to eat in competitions, like, eating, like, 7-pound burritos and, like, major disgusting stuff, So, for me to go vegan was like, if I can do it, anybody can do it, because that's a complete opposite end of the spectrum.
I mean, I see the amount of food you eat on a daily basis. It's
but not just that, though, it's so much meat. Like, I was telling people, I'm like, in the past 10 years, I probably ate, 3,000 pounds of food, right? It's a pound a day for 10 years, so 300. Oh, my math sucks. Okay, 3.
You're like, someone do the math.
3,000 pounds of meat. Over the past 10 years, so like that's pretty much consistent because I eat so much meat.
Yeah.
So I'm like, all right, let's do this for a month. So I did it for a month. I'm like, that's kind of easy, not bad. Let's see if I can do a show on it because I was curious to see if I could maintain the elite level that I needed to be.
Yeah.
That was the main thing. I got off of winning an overall, and then I went straight to vegan. So I was like, I want to see if I can get back to that level without any animal products. So it was kind of an experiment, and I was able to. Like my next show I did the whole thing on vegan prep. It was a little harder because the convenience is not.
Yeah, it's like make your macros met.
Well, not so much that, because I cook, so it's easy. Like I can cook and hit all the macros, but the problem is going out with friends or traveling or going anywhere like that. So it's hard to get stuff on the road. So I ended up doing a lot of protein shakes in the beginning because like if I was traveling, I would like you said, we went out to eat somewhere and didn't have any like full vegan options. I would eat like fries. And I'd drink 2 protein shakes to balance out the macros.
Exactly. It's like, okay, now I need to have protein with these, like, other stuff.
So, I did I think it was like a 3 or 4 month prep. and got on stage pretty much exactly the same shape, maybe even a little bit bigger. So I'm like, cool. And at this point, the whole process, I learned so much. I understand, and I got things, and it just became a personal choice at that point. Like, I've raised pets my whole life, so to me, it just didn't make sense to raise pets, love them, and then eat animals.
Yeah, exactly.
It was kind of like a little contradiction in my head, but we're all so used to it that it's no big deal.
Exactly, it's so normalized. But do you feel better? Like, I mean, it's been a long time since you've had the animal products in general, but did you start to feel like a difference in like how you felt day to day, like energy or stuff like that?
That's like, I think for the average person that's eating like pretty bad, switching to vegan would be night and day. Like, it would be like big time difference. But I've always eaten pretty healthy anyways. Even when I was eating meat, it was like I'll eat my meat and like a pound of veggies and like so switching for me, like I felt digestion was better, a little lighter on my feet, and like less tired after meals, but nothing crazy like some people do.
Yeah, I feel like I've heard some crazy stories.
Yeah, I mean, just switching from hot dogs and burgers all day straight to vegan, it's going to be a huge change.
Yeah, and you do vegan pretty well. You're not eating like a bunch of vegan fast food and like a bunch of.
I kind of do. I mean,
I know that you sometimes you'll get a Beyond Burger or something, but
off season I pretty much eat like a normal person off season. I mean, I always the biggest thing that people always flip out is protein. So it's like vegan protein. How do you get a protein? But if 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have been able to do this. Yeah, there was so many less options available. 5 years ago, you were eating basically tofu, beans, and stuff like that.
That's true.
Now all these new meat replacements are very, very similar, tasting and texture and macros to actual real meat.
That's true. The macros are
very similar. So now I get 200 grams of protein a day without even trying.
That's so crazy to me.
Yeah. So people think I'm like, oh, I'm gonna shrivel up, but no, that's the problem. Like, a lot of people turn vegan, and what they do is they cut out the meat and then replace it with like potatoes. It's like shit.
Well, that's not gonna do it.
Of course you're gonna lose muscle.
Yeah.
But taking it out and replacing it with the proper nutrients and macros that you need. But because that does make it a little bit more like you need a little more like nutritional IQ to properly do it.
And like proper planning beforehand. Like I know I have some friends that are vegan, but they all gained weight when they went vegan. Yeah. And I was like, well, I think it's because, this is at least my thought.
Well, think about it.
They're eating vegan mac and cheese, Oreos, because Oreos are vegan, I guess.
Vegan is not synonymous with healthy.
Exactly.
It's not even close.
Same with bodybuilding. Yeah, people think like bodybuilders and you look so no, you're not healthy.
On stage, probably I'm a half a step away from fainting.
Exactly. It's like you're being super unhealthy to get to look the part of healthy.
It's the image.
It is, but it's not
very short lived. Like most people don't hold that very long. Yeah, so you don't hold that look very long.
You seem to.
No, I don't.
And you always,
I try to.
I feel like you hold it pretty well. I know that I rebounded.
I used to rebound. See, that's my first probably 10 shows. I just rebound 20 pounds overnight.
So you're good at.
Now I purposely reverse diet. Because in the beginning it's like, oh man, I haven't eaten this shit in so long. I just want to gorge. But then I realized I have to take that off again.
It's going to be more work.
Yeah. So now I'm pretty controlled with my body feeds.
I keep saying that I'm going to reverse really well. And then I never do.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to limit yourself even my carb up days before the show, it's like once I get that first carb, I'm like,
you're like ravenous. Yeah. Like I just want more food.
But it's hard.
It is really hard. I can't even imagine doing it. I'm thinking about how much meat that I ate during prep.
My meals were literally 2 cups of rice. My all-season meals were normally 2 cups of rice, a pound of veggies, and a pound of chicken. That was my normal meal before, and I'd do that 2 times a day. I would eat 5 meals, I think, of just either chicken or tilapia and rice. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, how on earth? But you also have a lot of calories to eat, so you can fit in. Kind of. When I'm cutting, my calories do go a little low. I eat a 12-year-old girl at the end of it. Yeah. I had 1,700 calories last few. It's hard for me to hit I don't know, towards the end of prep, it's under 1,000 calories. Oh, Jesus. And it's how am I supposed to hit 140 grams of protein? Yeah, you're pretty much veggies and meat. Exactly. It's how, if I were to do it vegan, it's how am I going to do that? But every day, at a maintenance level, calorie level, I feel that's very doable for me. Yeah. But the prep makes it very hard, yeah. Prep makes it hard. It's basically veggies and meat replacements. That's all pretty much I ate. And all the carbs I got were from just the veggies. I'm extras on the side. Yeah, the veggies and carbs, exactly.
What's your favorite vegan protein?
So that was where like there was a huge gap in the markets. Like when I first started, I didn't like any of the vegan proteins. I'm like, shit, if I can't find one I like, this is gonna be hard because I take a lot of protein drinks in order to fill some gaps up. So like I basically tried a box from every company, and like all the mainstream ones, the real popular ones, were all so bad to me.
I want to try one. I tried the Vega.
Yeah, Vega or Gainz, all those are like.
You're not
so bad. Yeah, I hate them. Yeah. I'm like, shit, I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to eat animals again. But no, so I finally got with Flag Nofel. They had a vegan brand, so I got with them. Their stuff tastes pretty good. That was one of my favorite ones. And now, I don't know, I'm plugging a whole bunch of brands. You can send me some. Yeah, right now the vegan brand that tastes the best to me is Ghost. I think Ghost has a very good.
I didn't know that.
So I've been buying that and actually doing that.
I think like
Ghost.
Ghost Viper up. No, like I feel like the main complaint with vegan proteins is like the chalkiness.
Chalkiness, because it is chalky. The powder.
A lot of it's made with like pea.
But it is protein, rice protein, so it doesn't dissolve. It kind of suspends in liquid. Yeah. So because of that though, the flavor that tastes the best is peanut butter, because peanut butter is chalky anyway, so it kind of So peanut butter, like I add a little sodium, add a little more sweetener, and it tastes like a straight peanut butter shake.
That's true. It actually just add a little bit more.
But yeah, something has a smooth way feel to it, so it's something I have to get used to.
Did you have to learn about like supplementing vitamins and stuff and like minerals?
Yes, but it's almost the same ones I was supplementing before. Like everybody's like, oh, you're so deficient in this and that.
Yeah,
I've always been deficient. Most people are. Like certain things you have to supplement. Like everybody thinks there's so much B12 in food, and there's not.
No.
Everybody has to supplement B12. So that I always supplement with multi anyways. Yeah. So like most stuff is like it's covered. It's like, but if you don't supplement, it's like you can get everything from food. It's just almost impossible to do it. Like, do I really eat X amount of yeast every day, nutritional yeast or broccoli? So yeah, supplement's the easiest way.
This podcast is brought to you by Gainz, the fittest subscription box. Gainz is a quarterly fitness subscription box that has apparel, supplements, and equipment created for the sport of fitness.
Takes all the pressure off of your normal diet.
Exactly, that's true. Yeah. That's true that most people are already deficient. So it's like
supplement anyways. Why would you stop all of a sudden when you turn vegan?
Yeah, it's like you should just keep doing what you were doing.
Yeah, that's such a weird argument for me. It's like, oh yeah, I don't want to stop because I want to be deficient. I'm like,
you're like, I bet you already are. Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, that wasn't a big deal. That was never really an issue.
So how did, going back to like fitness, bodybuilding, powerlifting, how did you transfer, or not transfer, I guess like change your training from powerlifting into like a bodybuilding type style training?
Yeah.
And do you prefer bodybuilding type style training?
Yeah. Okay, so like I said, I was an athlete my whole life, so like transitioning to one or the other was just a matter of like switching small routines up, switching rep sets and weights and stuff like that. So it wasn't too drastic for me because I was always lifting anyways, and it's just now it's getting the right programming to hit everything efficiently. And so I get a lot of clients that are like, they've gone the whole life, never played sport, never played anything, they were basically computer nerds their whole life, and they message me wanting to be a bodybuilder.
You're like
it's so hard to do that. It really is. Yeah. Like, it's so much easier to have an overweight person that played sports when they were young.
Yeah, they already have the muscle density and like...
Yeah. All that size and strength that you're building during puberty is important.
Exactly.
So, like, for me, sports saved my life, for sure. When I was a kid, I was such a badass eater. Like, if I didn't play as much sports as I did and I wasn't as active as I was, I for sure would have been obese.
Obese, yeah.
So I look back at stuff I ate. I ate twice as much as everybody else. I ate way worse than everybody else.
That's how I was as a kid. I was string bean.
Oh, really?
And I would eat, like, crazy, like double all of my friends.
Yeah, I eat so much.
Yeah.
But because I had to stay super active, and it was just by accident, just because I was that active, I burned that many calories, and I got in shape because of it.
Yeah.
But people who didn't have that kind of athletic base kind of have to start from scratch, like building a muscle and then losing the fat, and it's a lot harder for them. You
have to build a lot before you can actually like look good when you're shredded.
Yeah. Well, I mean, give me like a thick volleyball chick, I'll get her in shape in 3 months. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah.
But a girl that's never lifted, never done any sports, like now I got to spend a year building muscle strength, and then you can diet. And that's one of the things too. It's like people tend to diet too early, and it messes up their body and everything. a whole prep, a proper prep, is very, very strenuous on your body.
Oh, yeah.
Strenuous on your hormones, everything. So when you're developing, if you're a 19, 20-year-old kid trying to gain size and you do a show mid-year, you're basically halting all your progress and going backwards.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in the time where you should be building that base so you have it for later.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the things when people, young kids want to compete, it's cool. I like the idea of it, but it does hinder their growth.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah. Just imagine being at a deficit for 4 months out of the year now. So
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I'm thinking about last year how I was prepping for so long.
Mm-hmm.
I had like a small 2-month break in between preps, and I was like, oh my god, I can eat food, but like, I don't know, it was very strenuous. I felt like,
yeah,
and it was like during COVID, so I was like, is the show gonna happen? Like, what's this?
Like, people realize like that last like few weeks to look that 1% better is the hardest part.
Yeah.
You know, like most people are like, I'm happy with the way I look 6 weeks out. We're listening for day-to-day activity.
Life, yeah.
But to go from that 6 weeks to a show stage is like takes double effort.
Yeah, looking good in the gym and looking good every day is so different than looking good on stage and like fitting the criteria to actually win.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so different. Like, I would think the same thing, like 6 weeks out, I'm like, oh, I look awesome in the gym. But like that, I would look horrible on stage. I'd get last place.
Yeah, but like that's for me. That's one of the reasons I still compete. It's like I don't really care about sport anymore. To be honest, like I'm done. Like, I do it just so that it makes me push to that level. Because otherwise, I could walk around like this, drink once a weekend, eat bad food, and just as long as I'm working out, I can stay about where I am now.
Exactly.
Life is so much easier.
You're like, life is easier, but it doesn't push you.
Yeah. So I set one of these shows every once in a while just now to just be able to push to that.
Yeah.
You know, that
challenge yourself.
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly. What does your workout split look like?
It's mostly a push-pull legs. When we get closer to prep, I split up my push day to a chest day and a shoulder day separate.
Okay.
But pretty much I do everything twice a week.
Yeah. Do you do any cardio in addition to your 10,000 steps?
I do. Like 10,000 steps is just basically like an absolute minimum.
I know. I always see you doing that.
Like, 10,000 steps is what a normal active person should have anyways.
Yeah.
So because my job doesn't require me to be active in any way, I have to force myself just to get that normal activity.
Yeah.
Right?
So you just walk around Hollywood?
Yeah, just walk around until I hit my normal activity level, and then I'll cardio and everything is on top of that.
Yeah.
Because like the average person walking around, like you probably have 10,000 steps normally, right? Just like walking around.
A little less, but yeah. I still walk around a lot.
Yeah, days I'm not doing anything and I work on my computer, I'll sit there, I'll have like 24 steps or something.
Yeah.
I just walk to the fridge twice.
You're like,
yeah, so like when I make sure I get my minimum step no matter what.
Yeah.
Like I'll literally at 11 p.m. if I don't have my steps, I'll get up and just start walking.
I've seen so many of your stories. You're like, well, guys, gotta get my steps in.
If I'm lazy all day, I have to make up for it before I go to bed.
Exactly.
That's pretty much just what I made sure I just have to hit.
What kind of cardio do you do in addition? Like, do you prefer a certain machine, or do you just walk extra?
Yeah, I actually hate machines, but I have done them, and my machine of choice is elliptical.
Okay.
I can do it, and I can zone out and just push and close my eyes and just sweat for an hour, which is very, very hard mentally to do for me.
Yeah.
I prefer to just go hikes.
That's nice.
That's my best form of cardio, because you don't feel like you're doing cardio. And I can go Lemon Canyon for an hour and a half, hike up there with all the pretty people, and come back down and have lunch, and it's like I just did an hour and a half of cardio without
I didn't really feel like it was like fun.
Yeah, and it's still a lot of work. I mean, I'll do a 6-mile hike.
Exactly.
So it's a lot of work. It's a lot easier than when I'm on treadmill. Time too is like it stops.
Oh, I know. It's the slowest thing. When I would do Stairmaster.
Yeah, I avoid it at all.
Yeah, and you're getting kind of tan when you're out hiking.
For sure. That's one of my favorite things.
And like the vitamin D, you're like out in fresh air. It's a lot better.
And the more tan you get, the more you want to go out and show off.
Exactly.
I'm walking out shirtless and
looking good.
Every day looking a little leaner, so that's cool. It's perfect.
That's so funny. Kind of transitioning topics. How did you get into photography? Okay,
so photography is like one of those things where I kind of started as just for fun. Like everybody likes pretty girls, and that's how I started. I started because I was doing modeling earlier, and I'm like, oh man, it's so hard for me to find photographers I can shoot what I like.
So you got into modeling before photography?
Yeah, I was doing like just like LA modeling here, just like doing like mostly commercial stuff and fitness shows.
Yeah.
Back then, fitness was a big difference than it is now.
Yeah.
You know, the average fit kid now is way better than we were back then.
They had a lot more help, I think.
But it's crazy. It's like 18-year-old kids when I was in high school were nothing like 18-year-old kids now. 18-year-old kids now look like me right now.
I think it's the internet. Just like the availability of like information. is like crazy.
Well, and fitness has gone mainstream now. You know, like think about it. All the Marvel characters and Captain America characters are all jacked and shredded now, which wasn't really a thing back then. It was just Arnold, Stallone, and Van Damme back then.
Yeah.
You know, everybody else was like dad bod. Like it's pretty much the whole thing.
Dad bod was normal, and now it's like, oh, what?
Now it's like you're expected to have six-pack
abs all the time. Yeah. It's crazy.
So the whole narrative has moved, which is cool because now it pushes people to be more fit, more, you know, they have something to strive for.
And it's keeping everyone, I mean, to a certain extent, healthier.
I'd say overall it's healthier.
Overall it's healthier, but unless you start getting into like competing physique is not as healthy.
No, for sustainability, no.
Yeah, but like a bodybuilding, like a kid at like what, 18 years old, like building and like looking kind of big, they're probably healthy.
Yeah, just work out.
They're healthier than normal.
Even stuff like CrossFit now, because that became so popular, you get your average person who's basically doing high level fitness stuff, you know?
That's
which wasn't really around back then. There was nothing 20 years ago that the average mom could go and work out. She would just have to go to the gym and hit the treadmill or whatever.
That's true. Now there's all these different, like, there's CrossFit or there's
F45, CrossFit,
Orange
berries, all these things.
berries, exactly. There's so many, in Spain a lot of people go to SoulCycle and stuff.
So I think that like the narrative of just our world in general has shifted more towards that, more towards the health and fitness aspect of it.
It's interesting to me, I saw something recently about how the US has so many more gyms than other countries, but we have like way more obese people.
It's the extremes. It's extremes. Like LA is especially like that. Yeah. I think LA, we have the most fit people in the world, but we also have the most unfit people in the world.
Yeah.
Well, that's with money. It's LA is like just a big disparity of like
some people have Skid Row and Beverly Hills.
I mean, and you have in downtown you have Skid Row and you have like high-rise building literally 200 yards away.
Yeah.
You know, so the disparity here is greater. But on the overall, there's definitely more fit people here in California than anywhere else in the world.
Yeah, that are like fit, not just like average.
Yeah, exactly. Like you go to a football game and there's like 5 guys that look like they're going to step on stage. You know?
That's very true. Or if you go to like Vegas or something.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like everyone looks like
it was never like that.
Model.
Yeah, so now it's like people get ready specifically for pool parties.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, I'm going to Vegas, I'm going to do a cut, like a mini cut or something. Mm-hmm. That's so crazy. So photography, what exactly did you start doing?
So I started shooting, well, before I just started shooting like all my friends, you know, so I had pretty little girlfriends and stuff, so I always shot them as practice and was doing that. And then I kind of started shooting professionally about a year after I started, a year and a half or so. And I just started with the agencies, the modeling agencies. You know, I just went to all of them and started test shooting with them. And
that's cool.
It was not much money. It was just good because I got to shoot with like pretty high end models.
That's really cool.
They would pay me. You know, so exactly. It was like new faces. It was always a pretty easy way to get in originally. Before the internet, before
Instagram and all that started like changing.
Yeah, so I really walked into Next Models, LA Models, Ford Models, and like just offered to shoot.
That's really cool. So you didn't study like photography in college?
No, but I did something pretty similar to it on accident. Like,
what was your major?
Well, I was a business major, business economics. But when studying photography, I am a technical photographer, so I learned. Like, I actually took courses.
Learned the craft.
I learned it from books. Like, I went to Barnes & Nobles and spent 3 weeks straight reading like 6 hours a day there.
Okay, yeah.
I had 3 bookstores I actually rotated, so I didn't look like a psycho. I would sit there for 6 hours.
So 6 hours. It's like free
for a long time. Yeah, and like every time I'm sitting there drinking like 4 coffees throughout the day.
Yeah, because you want to learn everything, so you're good at what you do.
Now it's so easy. You just click on the internet and you have everything you need. And back then I was literally looking through books and hardcover books at Barnes & Nobles and bookstores.
Exactly. Now you just have to ask Siri. Like, Siri, what are you doing? Like, how do I do this?
Well, I always said that. It's like now we're in a time where there's more available information than ever before.
Yeah.
Yet there's less skill trade than ever before.
That's true. No one's like
don't know.
Thing.
Well, I mean, just or things. It's like there's so many things that people don't know now because it's all available, so they don't have to memorize it. Think about your cell phone, right? How many phone numbers do you actually know?
Oh yeah, I can't even. I know my parents and my home phone and my phone.
So that's kind of how it is
4 numbers.
with information as well, though.
Yeah.
So you don't learn much because you don't need to.
Yeah.
You have all the information on here. So, when you didn't have that, you actually had to learn everything. You learn it and you store it and you have these skills, you have these abilities. And now a lot of people just neglect completely.
That's true. And a lot of people, like, that just makes me feel like a lot of people are getting good at memorizing, but not good at actually learning the why and the how.
Yeah.
It's just like, let me memorize this in school, or let me just, now that I'm out of school, I can just look it up, but I'm never going to have to learn like the why and the how behind anything, behind why they're doing things. They're just able to, you know, Google it or memorize and
replicate,
move on.
You know,
yeah.
a lot of like
exactly.
stuff on TikTok, especially trends, are all just duplicated, replicated.
That's true.
And I mean, it's even more so for photography because like I know lots of photographers that are making a living right now. And just shooting and clicking and just picking one out of 1,000 that looks decent.
Yeah, they don't
and
know.
And they Photoshop the shit out of it and filter it. You know, it's like you can legitimately be a photographer and not know anything about photography.
Yeah, and I mean editing is a skill as well, sure. But like if you don't know aperture exposure, like any of that, it's like what.
But there's a lot of photographers that shoot and I can tell them like f-stop this and they wouldn't know what I'm talking about.
They're like, what is an f-stop? You're like, you own a DSLR. What are you talking about?
If they click it and they just like see this picture right there, you just adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
And I was like, it takes away like the necessity to know. Like I was saying, like, like we know less now because we don't have to.
Exactly.
You know, like the convenience of having things makes it like, oh, now we actually have less skills innately.
Exactly. That's crazy. So for photography, did you start shooting models first, like you said? Or
it was always models. Yeah, I started with models right away.
And did you like go into working with like EHP and Gymshark and stuff later?
Yeah, that's way later. Yeah, I was doing photography, so I shoot everything. I'd shoot fashion, glamour, lingerie. I've shot adult work. I've shot men's magazines, all that. And then for the fitness industry, so I was already established as a photographer by that time. So that's kind of how I got my foot in the door with a lot of these companies. So. Because as an influencer, I had like 5,000 followers. They wouldn't give a shit about me.
Yeah.
But I kind of weaseled my way in as a photographer. I started shooting pictures of myself and sending it to them in their outfits and clothes. And I happened to be in really good shape, so they started posting.
So like, oh, this guy is cool.
So I started growing it and like shooting my own stuff, sending it to them, and like I eventually signed with Gymshark and EHP, and those two like were catapulting at the time because that's when the internet boomed for Instagram.
Yeah, and that was Gymshark's birth. That was when they were still such a young company.
Yeah. Oh, that's how I really got in with them. Is I just took the owners to Vegas and we partied with Drake, and
that's so cool.
That's how I got in with them.
I'm like, that's so cool. Oh my god, that's so funny.
Because like as an athlete, I had friends that were with them. So Matt Ogus and Lovato were like my two buddies that were in the industry before me. So I kind of like rode their coattails a little bit and got to meet a lot of the people that they were with. So with that, it's like, I came in and did my part. It was just the social part. So I met with the owners, took them out, hung out all weekend. And you can get along with anyone. And you can party and have fun. And that's the skill. Like literally, the connections. If you have the ability to make people genuinely like you, you can be successful in any job in the world. Yeah. Every single job. It makes everything easier. Yeah, if someone doesn't like you, they're not going to want to do business with you. Yeah. And even if you're better at something than the person who's more sociable. But inversely, people want to do business with people they like. Exactly. Like they'll literally go, okay, yeah, this guy's quality, but I like you. I'm gonna use you. Exactly. It's like I like you as a person. Yeah. Or you're my friend. They're going to choose their friend. Sure. Or someone they have better relationship. That's what I would do, right? That's exactly. What we do. So, yeah, that's to me has always been the most important skill for me to learn was that ability. Networking, being social, and like being genuinely interesting and likable. Exactly. I think that's the most important skill. It is. I agree 100%. Any business. Yeah. So my most important question, it's not actually the most important. How did you get the nickname Viper? Okay, so this is fun because I knew you as Viper, not as Kaden. Yeah, well, God, I've had people literally forget my name. I'm like, okay, well, that's cool. That's pretty much Viper. You're like, but, yeah, so Viper is, the Dodge Viper was a car that came out in 1996, GTS. That was my favorite car when I was a kid. Yeah. So I did that and I thought I was cool, so I added GQ to the end for a GQ magazine, right? Yeah. So fashion Viper, so it's just ViperGQ. Mm-hmm. I started that in probably 1997, and since then, it is the same name I use for every single website, every membership, every screen name out there. So pretty much every site that comes out, I sign up right away because I know someone's going to take it. Mm-hmm. So pretty much that's true. You go back all the way to Friendster, MySpace, everything's all there. All ViperGQ, everything I did. Yeah, if you look at ViperGQ on Google, it's only you that pops up. Every Match.com, every Tinder, everything. It's all back me. It is. Go back as far as you can. It's all ViperGQ. That's so funny. I've just always stuck with it, and it's funny. It's I've had a couple chances to buy the Viper, and it's always never worked out for me. That's so interesting. Weird. I know. It's I don't know why now. I should just do it but since because last year I went and test drove 5 of them, and actually was going to buy one. Yeah, you're like, this is it. So now it's okay, now I just need to do it. It suits you though. The name is it suits you as a person. I always forget. It's his name's Kaden because I just think of you as Viper. That's you. That's your. Well, I had literally teams of on HP and Gymshark, people like knew me for years, and they're all, dude, I actually forgot your name. I just call you Viper.
Yeah, exactly. I know, like, I think that's just so crazy, but it fits you, and I feel like I thought that was your real name for a little bit at first. When I first met you, I didn't know, and someone said Kaden, and I was like, who's that? I was like, what are you talking about? That's so funny.
Yeah, so I've just been using it since, and plastering all of my cars, all of my stuff, and
now that's you and your brand. You are your brand and everything, and that's a really good thing to do, because no one's gonna not know your name. If you hear Viper, like, you don't really think of anyone else. Like ViperGQ, like, that's you, you know? But yeah, thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's cool.
This is super cool. Let us know where we can find you at on social media. What's your...
Okay, like I said, everything is under ViperGQ. So you go to Twitter, ViperGQ. MySpace, ViperGQ. Instagram, ViperGQ. Pretty much everything is on there. But I also do have side pages too. So I have a photography page that's on my ViperGQ profile as well.
Yeah.
As Kaden Photo _, which I don't know why there's an underscore. Somebody apparently has Kaden Photo, which is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that everything is under ViperGQ. Just type that in, you'll find me.
Cool. Thank you so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for joining us for this week's episode of The Gainz. Join us weekly for new episodes and special guests. Make sure to head over to thegainzbox.com or Gainzbox on Instagram to get yourself a Gainzbox today.